Hey everyone, I'm Eric. This is my wife Julie. We are the Blended Life, and today we're going to be talking about
jealousy amongst the two sets of kids in the blended family home and how to counteract that with gratitude. We're going to talk about letting go of being liked and that need to feel good enough as a step parent.
I let go a long time ago.
And then we're gonna end with the mom and dad title for step parents. How do we feel about? We're gonna give you a couple different perspectives about why that would be okay or not, if giving the step parents that title of mom or dad.
All right, stay tuned.
Here we go. All right, so first question write-in of the night is about kids getting jealous.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll read what this person wrote, and then I would love your feedback on this, because I think this is something that is widely struggled in blended family life.
Okay.
So my fiance's kids get jealous when they aren't with us and we go out or do things. They are with their mom, and I feel like we have to still live our lives and do what we want. We always include his kids when they are with us and make sure when they have special events or something going on, we plan those around when his kids are with us. No matter what I do, it's just never good enough for his kids. I have poured myself into being a great step parent, but it's never good enough for them. Their mom is very manipulative and has taught her kids that they can't love their mom and me. So basically, like, there isn't room for me in the kid's life. Help.
Yeah, so
kids range from 6 to 12 years old.
How many kids are there?
There's 5.
Because that matters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has 3 stepkids.
Okay.
And she has 2 that she came in to this marriage with. So
that's a lot of kids.
There's a lot going on here. I think the first thing that we should discuss, because there's 2 really main issues, is the jealousy.
Yeah.
But then also feeling like she's just not good enough. They can't love mom and her at the same time.
Right.
That's a whole separate issue. So let's tackle the first thing first. What do you have to say about kids who get jealous that they're missing out?
Yeah, well, kids can get jealous because they're missing out. However, just because the kid's at the other house doesn't mean that we or they should put their lives on hold, because at the other house, the kids now have something else completely going on, right? They have a whole nother bag of fun or not fun going on. But at the end of the day, life continues to march on. Mm-hmm. So I can see where she's coming from. I've struggled with this before because, we've talked about it. It's like, well, this kid prefers this dinner, or they would really like that. Maybe we don't do it tonight. Maybe we save dinner
You say that all the time. You're always about the food. Like, maybe we wait till we have this kid or that kid and we don't do it now.
Right. Yeah, but then,
everybody else wants it, but we're waiting.
But then we also meal plan around certain kids for certain meals,
Yeah.
It's like, it is one of those things that as parents and as blended family parents, we do cater to that a little bit,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, do we put our lives on hold because the other kids aren't there? Do we not go places because kids aren't there? Maybe not big vacations, because that's, unless they have a situation like you did growing up where they're gone for the entire summer. Well, does the family just not go on any type of vacation because the other kid or children are at another parent's house, maybe far away, or they're there for a long period of time? Like, no, but if it's a week on, week off, or, a few days here, a few days there situation, you cater to it a little bit, to make it for everyone. But your daily things, I'm talking vacations, but your daily things, going to a restaurant or, going to play at the park, if they're little kids or, just
a beach day,
right.
Miniature golf, things
just
like
things
that.
like that. Yeah. I'm like, you've got to continue to live your life. It's not fair to the other children at that point then if you don't, if you're always waiting for the other kid.
Yeah.
Then resentment starts to set in, then the kids get mad because little Susie's never around. And why, why do we always have to wait for little Susie? We're mad because.
Well, this is very interesting because let's talk Christmas.
Mhm.
I mean, it is June,
Right.
so
We're getting there.
We're halfway there. But this is Christmas
Right.
because it's been a thing where we have my kids in the morning
Right.
and your kids might come over in
Right.
the afternoon. So then do kids have to wait to open presents until the whole family's together? That's what we've done.
Right. And that's what we've done. But also on that same token, your kids aren't there Christmas Eve. So should we not go to church? Should we wait the next day to go to church and not have celebrations? You know what I mean? Like you've got to kind of pick and choose your battles, and also what's fair and what's healthy for your family, because waiting around always or just catering to a certain situation isn't always necessarily the healthiest way for a family.
Yeah, and I think that what trips up people because we get so hyper-focused on a kid or a set of kids
Mhm.
that it becomes all about them and their attitudes and their troublemaking or them not loving us or whatever it is. And we get so short-sighted that we don't see the bigger picture of our blended family.
Right.
So it becomes what's in the best interest of these kids, and it really needs the conversation and thought process needs to shift in what's in the best interest of our family as a whole.
Mhm.
And really that's what you have to sit with your significant other and really have discussions about your family values.
Right.
What is most important? If it's most important to your family that you're all together when you make memories, then that's what you stand behind.
Right.
If it's most important to make the most of each day as it comes with who's there, then that's how you live your life.
Right.
So I think it's a bigger conversation that should be had with spouses and like, how are we living our blended family life and not really single out the kids, you know what I mean? Or make it about the kids.
Right.
And what also cracks me up is that this idea of fairness,
Mhm.
there's nothing fair about blended life. There's
No.
nothing fair about divorce.
Right.
There's nothing fair about step parenting, co-parenting, being a stepchild, being a biological parent. Like, it's just this idea of fairness is really an unattainable get.
Yeah, and it's also like, I mean, just going back to the Christmas thing, it's like fairness. Like at the end of the day, if you're watching every little single thing, it makes me think of Christmas. If we start counting presents, we start counting dollars, we start counting who gets
To the penny,
what,
yeah.
the size of the present, or the magnitude. You know what I mean? Then at what point do you stop? I mean, then now are we going to start weighing the presents? Are we going to start, you see where I'm going?
Right.
It's a rabbit hole.
And going back to Christmas, actually, this year, I'm like, how did this happen? I let my kids each open one gift before your kids came over.
Right.
And they were stoked on that. Like, there's a compromise. Right. So also it's like, how can we honor everyone as best as we can?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if they miss out on miniature golfing this weekend,
so often,
then maybe you make a special date for them to do it a different time so they still get to do it. It may not be when you do it, but if you are making memories with one set of kids and another set are missing out, then maybe you make that extra effort. If this is like something that's bugging you, to do that with the other kids when you can.
Right. Well, it's not the only time that it's going to happen, because then the following year, my kids are there, but we're waiting on kids for Christmas Eve. We don't have your kids on Christmas Eve, but my kids are there, and all through, but going away from Christmas, it evens itself out elsewhere. There's going to be other times where we're waiting on your kids or your kids are waiting on my kids, or we go somewhere, or back to the dinner thing, we have a dinner because it's just the most convenient thing that night, or it's what everyone wants. And at the end of the day, who cares?
Yeah, and maybe dinner is about what the parents want because they're paying for it, cooking it, and cleaning it up, and
all of the things.
I think that we give so much power to kids, and we put so much emphasis on their feelings and that they're okay. Not that that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just shifting power in.
Well, you see that happening. You see that happening
smart.
A lot more in blended families. I mean, it's a very trendy thing that we probably wouldn't have noticed so much unless we were in the position that we're in, where we have this podcast that is all about blended families. Now we don't claim to be experts on this. We're in this with you guys. It's just a place that we can all come to gather and talk about this and work out problems. And yes, sometimes you and I work out problems right here on the air, and people might love it or people might hate it. But at the end of the day, we're very, very real about this. We're not saying what we say is the be all end all.
You don't walk on water?
I try to, but I always end up falling. But we see so much more of. It's a very trendy thing that kids lead the households. It is what Johnny wants that night. It is what Susie wants that night. It's where they want to go and what they want to do. And before you know it, the kids are leading the household. Yeah. Not an argument, but I got into a little thing with someone on a way weird random comment the other day. You know what I'm talking about?
On our YouTube channel?
Yeah, it wasn't even our YouTube channel. It was a comment I had left on someone else's.
Yeah.
And someone's. Do you remember even the context of it? It was insane.
Yeah.
Someone basically saying that we should put our own biological children above all else. And that's all we should do. And don't ever let anyone else come through that door and tell you otherwise, And I can see that. I can see there's probably a lot of trauma that led up to that,
Well, that's one way to approach. Listen. There's a million ways to approach blended life.
And if that's right for you, that's right for you.
Right. We're just Christian people who believe in the Bible. So in our faith, in our belief system, we believe that it's God and then our marriage and then our kids underneath that and everything else underneath that. So that is just our belief.
So, but what happened about that, though?
Is that the only way to do it?
No, but what happened was it almost made it sound like they were accusing me of saying that we need to put our marriage above our kids, and then our kids are just slaves to everything else. Our kids are so much lesser than, that there's no respect at that point. That's
interesting. It's interesting because I think that in blended families, it's more natural to put your kids above your spouse.
Right.
I think it takes a lot of work to put spouse first because your kids were there first and your kids didn't ask for this. And we have so much shame or guilt, or we see our kids struggle and we don't want that. So we naturally want to cater to them.
But that's where the argument started. So now it's like, well, you put your spouse above, you put your spouse above. Now all the children just get left behind. Yeah. Now little Johnny and little Susie just don't matter. Now big bad stepdad is just ruling the roost, and he is just mean. And that's, it's the way, but if you do it the way that we are,
that it's intended,
that it's intended and that we're taught to do in the way that we live, the kids get treated fairly. The kids are happy. The kids, feel value in the house.
Well, and the kids feel safe and secure.
And they see respect.
Yeah, and you're modeling a marriage that you'd want for them.
Right.
And relationships. I mean, we also forget that kids leave, right? Like your spouse is forever, or should be. And that's the intent. And so kids, the intent for our children is to raise them up, and then they go out and be functioning adults. And so what happens if you are putting your kids first and they leave? What do you think you're left with in a marriage?
Yeah.
Also, it's a safeguard for your marriage. And so There's a lot of reasons why we say marriage first. But I know that's a really hard thing for some people.
Right.
And so, I mean, you have to do what you feel is right. And hopefully you're marrying someone who feels the same way. I think that marriage can work as long as you're on the same page of how you're going about things. So if you were like, it's our marriage first, and I'm like, heck no, it's my kids first, that would be a really hard marriage.
It would be. But also, if you're marrying someone that doesn't respect your children and respect your household, and just your whole dynamic,
right,
then that can be really hard too. You've really got to make sure all the pieces of the puzzle fit together, because it's not like, well, we're going to have a kid and then we're going to raise this kid from little baby to this and everything's just going to work out great. You've got a bunch of mismatched puzzle pieces that you're now hoping fit together. So,
yeah. And I think that, gosh, now I want to go back and write on this person's post because I think that we need to shift the conversation too, that there has to be this or that.
Right.
Like, you can put your marriage first and be great parents.
Right.
You can put your marriage first and love your kids.
That's my point.
Like, you can have both. It isn't
exactly. It's not
you put your marriage first or your kids first. It doesn't have to be.
It was almost like they were accusing us of touting that we put our marriages first and then our kids but our kids just fall behind. Our kids are just then slave to that and second class citizens to that.
Yeah.
And that's not at all what we're saying.
No, but it's also ignorance, right? But
it sounds like there's trauma like that came along to get you thinking like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is very common, which is why we're here. We're trying to minimize this. We're trying to keep families together and keep everyone loving each other and keep everyone happy and only put good out in the world.
Yeah. Jealousy.
Anyways.
I just didn't want to forget. You're right. So here's some goodness. How do you help
I wish
kids?
I had a button for goodness. I'm going to have to create one.
Yeah.
How
okay, but seriously, kids, how would you advise someone to deal with the jealousy that happens between step siblings in the home, or resentment that one set of kids has towards the step parent?
Right.
Because ultimately everything's a step parent's fault.
Well, and at the end of the day,
or the exes, one or the other.
Right, but at the end of the day, us as parents or caring parents usually end up having to explain ourselves. And we're always explaining ourselves to the kids. And it's like, why are we explaining ourselves to them? Like, explain to them that at the end of the day, it's all going to work out. It's all going to even out. Everyone's going to be happy. Everyone's going to have a good time. You know what I mean? So we need to stop caring so much about that fairness, and we need to worry about the welfare and the well-being of the now and the family. Because if you take care of the now, the tomorrow is going to be all right. I mean, we're going to have our hard times. We're going to have our struggles, but at the end of the day, as long as you pour into today, tomorrow's probably going to be a lot better.
Yeah. I think a really good way to approach jealousy with kids is to instill gratitude, because I don't think you can be grateful and jealous at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of like an oxymoron at that point.
So if you can teach and instill and model and encourage and reward gratitude from all the kids in the home, and that's the lens they're operating out of, because that's your family culture. You have a family culture of gratitude. Then I think that lessens the jealousy. I think that it will come and go, but I think that you can remind kids what they're grateful for, and maybe have them lead the conversation of, well, you missed out on this here, but what did you get to do there?
Right.
How awesome it is that you have a roof over your head and you're provided for, that summer you don't have to work. We'll work and you just have fun as a kid, like having fun with your friends, and things are opening back up. Maybe, California's still shut down.
Good for us.
And still masked. Just saying.
Just
but
saying.
For most of the other parts of the world, you're open. So I just think it's shifting.
Would you say normal parts of the world?
Normal parts of the world. Not California is not the normal part of the world.
Right.
But I think you just shift the conversation to gratitude.
Yeah.
And advice. You reward it. So if there's pushback, and this is probably going to seem stupid, but you can do a family gratitude journal. Like how people are going to be like, well, how do I do this? How do I promote gratitude? Well, you could give every kid a gratitude journal, and that every 5 pages they get some sort of reward. Just because they're not 5 years old doesn't mean you can't do reward system. It just might look different.
Right.
Like they can earn, maybe you'll do a chore for them that they do.
Dang. I'm like, I do chores for them every day.
No, but I
all
mean,
I do is chores.
You can figure it out what works for you. It was just an idea, right? Or they get to pick dinner one night.
Do I look like I'm about to fall asleep right now?
You do.
Because I've been choring all.
Open your eyes.
I can't stop.
But, maybe for like a gratitude, maybe it's like a button in a jar for every time they're grateful for something. And when their jar is full, they get to go do something they really want, get a video game they really want, go somewhere they really want, get a new pair of Vans that they really want, or they get to pick dinner, whatever it is, or brother has to do dishes for a week and you're off the hook. So be grateful, right? Gratitude jar would fill up like that. Right. I don't know. I just think that there's ways to promote it, and encourage it. I think prayer is an awesome time. I think dinner time, if you have dinner around the table, everyone, shares one thing they're grateful for.
Right.
Or one thing, or at bedtime when you're saying goodnight to your children. That's a great time to talk about gratitude. Driving in the car, you and your son have most of your talks in the car.
Lots of them, yep.
So there's ways you can do it. There's ways you can reward it. There's ways you can model it. If you're a parent who's always negative.
I'm a reward model. A gratitude model.
You're a gratitude. Dude, it's your Halloween costume.
I'll be a gratitude model when I grow up.
But I think that there's definitely ways you can promote it, and there's, and you have to model it also. So it's not enough for you to talk about it. If you're coming home and bitching about your day and how horrible things are,
right,
and
that sets a tone.
You don't have enough of this, your kids are going to adopt that same attitude.
Right.
So you have to also make sure if jealousy is a thing in your house, then you best not be jealous. You best not be spouting jealousy rhetoric or, because that just reinforces and affirms those feelings in those kids. So it starts with you, and so that's my advice with the jealousy thing. And I agree with the unfair, like life's just not fair. I'm so sorry. And I tell this to my kids, do better.
As you're saying this, I see your gratitude jar full of buttons getting smashed on the ground. Sorry, kids, life's not fair. Clean them up.
That may or may not be true. I'm just giving ideas. Whether they work or not is dependent on the people in your house.
That's true. That's very true.
But what was I saying before that?
I don't know.
It was
Something
a really
about smashing
good thought.
jars of buttons.
No, that was what you were thinking. I don't know. But yeah. Okay. Moving on. The second
along.
part of this is not being good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think step parents feeling not good enough is something you just have to let go of. Okay. You can't, like, if you feel like you're being seen as not good enough or something's just not good enough,
mm-hmm.
you know better.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, you can't go into your stepchildren's minds and rearrange how they think and how they see you.
No, but
physically.
But as parents, like, we can help guide them, down better paths. And, kind of goes back to this last conversation about gratitude. If we're never showing gratitude as parents, and it's always do as we do, or do as we say, not as we do. You know, we're always complaining about everything, and we're always miserable, and we're always gossiping. Well, how do we expect our kids to be different than that if that's all that we're modeling?
Yeah, I think about it. I'm like, if you think about your own children's most annoying habits or things that they get in trouble for, 99% sure you are the one that taught them that. They got it from you. You're modeling what they're getting in trouble for.
We're in blended families. Either that or the other house taught them. You know, I'm just being funny. But honestly, they learn it from somewhere, right?
No, but one of the parents, for sure. But I think that kids learn it.
For sure.
So it's also really comical that if in your heart of hearts you look at how your child's behaving, understand that.
Oh, I know.
They got it
my
from
son does
somewhere.
so much that I'm like, dude, I get it, but stop, because this is not
it's
the time.
okay for
I'm trying
you,
to work.
just not. It's okay
there's
for
a
me,
time
not
and a
you.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think that I was gonna post this too on our. You might see a post come across, but I think that something we all need to let go of is needing to be liked.
The jokes.
God, is this more button jar smashing?
I'm just like.
But here's the deal.
Why didn't you talk about this when you first thought about this years ago?
But so I think that especially with
someone doesn't like our bantering. We gotta. I'm just thinking about this right now. Like,
are we gonna get in trouble for bantering?
Silly. Maybe someone thinks that you should host alone. So I'm gonna be quiet and take a nap here for the next few minutes, and we're gonna see what you hosting alone looks like.
No, it does not. I don't want that.
Go.
I don't want that. Okay. Well, I think what are you doing? But I don't even know what we're talking about right now. I'm so lost in life. See, I'm lost without you. Come back to me. There you are.
It's the Julie Show. You're supposed to host alone.
I don't want to host alone.
Yeah.
Oh, the idea of being liked. I think step parents are so emotionally either sad, like their emotions are so tied up in their stepkids liking them. And I'm kind of like, and the same thing about nothing's ever good enough. Like that goes with appreciation,
right?
Which goes to gratitude. And if kids haven't been taught that, you're not going to get it. And are you going to let that ruin your day every day? So if the answer is yes, then you're just living a really deprived life. Like you're living a life that is just, empty. Because if you're putting your self-worth and your happiness in a child who is their own internal struggles, you're going to be disappointed most of the time. So I think we have to let go of we need to be liked to be okay in our home, because that also crosses over into your marriage and causes problems. Like your kid doesn't like me and I'm just not good enough, and that's going to ruin my day. So now that's ruining your day and even going to ruin my kids' days. And I'm like, that is so much power to give a child or a set of children in the house. Would you agree, or do you have a different point of view?
Being pissed off at your dog for not knowing how to roll over when you've never taught him how to roll over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like my dog doesn't do tricks, but I've never taught it how to.
Our dogs are naughty, but we haven't trained them.
Yeah. I'm like, there's a lot of times that I'm kind of like mad at our dogs about silly things, but I'm like, at the end of the day, we haven't really taught them much other than to go to the bathroom outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, at least we've done that, right? But it's the same with our kids. Like,
we didn't even train them. The dogs train themselves.
The old one always kind of takes the young one under its wing. It's kind of been an evolution of doggy training. Dog lead dog.
Dog lead dog. That's,
yeah. But it's kind of the same thing with our kids, though. We teach our kids. I feel like we teach our kids what we expect from them. Now, they're not always perfect, but that's why it's a parent-child relationship, not a child or parent. That's why there's a hierarchy to it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
And you can't control that. You can't, I think step parents think that there's something they can do, say, or be that's going to make kids think a certain way about them. Again, none of us are that powerful, right? Kids are their own people with their own brains, their own set of experiences. And so they have to get there on their own. Now, you can promote things, you can be kind and supportive to promote good feelings towards you, but ultimately you don't have the power to reach into their little heads and twist them to be like they love you and appreciate you. That matures over time. And sometimes, honestly, you guys, it never does. There are stepchild, step-parent, adult relationships that just have never connected. I've had that myself for various reasons. So I can say that, like, sometimes it just never evolves. And particularly my stepfather has been in my life since a year old.
Mm-hmm.
And we've never, from 1 year old to almost 40 years old, so 39 years, our relationship has never evolved into a super connected, bonded one, for a lot of reasons, but it just may never happen. So you have to be okay with that, because you may never get what you want. And are you going to let that ruin your marriage?
Or you might just never want it. It might be you that's like, I just don't want it. I don't care for it. I don't,
Well, but she's saying that she just feels like her kid, the stepkid's like she's never good enough. Nothing's ever good enough.
So she does want it. Like, she wants it.
It matters.
Right.
But I think it's just something you lay down.
Right.
Because if you're doing the best you can do, then that's all you can do, and that needs to be good enough. And so it's time to lay down the caring about being good enough or not, and just do the best you can do and be okay knowing that, and stop putting all this pressure on it. I'm sure that the marriage would feel relief too. Not that there's anything wrong with their marriage, but I have to, you know what I mean? If you're not stressed out
but also
or pressure about it, that eases up tensions everywhere else.
Well, also, if this is something that she really, really wants to, she might be opening up and putting herself in a very vulnerable position that she's not getting the return,
right,
and continues to get hurt or is getting hurt from it,
right.
And that, like, you have to guard yourself a little bit too. Like, you have to be able to see and be aware and acknowledge what's going on and guard yourself a little bit.
Yeah. No, and let it evolve naturally on its own or not, and find your gratitude and happiness elsewhere.
Well, and also, just because it isn't evolving doesn't also mean that you should just give up 100%. Maybe you just take a little bit off, and you back off a little bit, but doesn't mean that, like, well, it's not working, so I'm just going to 100% kick it to the curb. I'm going to write this child off. I don't want anything to do with them ever again. Maybe you're just like, well, maybe I'm not going to try as hard. I'm going to guard myself a little bit, but I'm still going to be there for this kid.
Of course.
I'm still going to love them. I'm going to respect them. I'm going to do as I would do, but maybe I'm just not going to cry myself to sleep at night because they don't want me to tuck them in. They don't want me to read them a book at night. They don't want me to help them with their homework. They just don't want to look at me. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, your emotional well-being, your mental health should not be lost or gained on kids or stepkids. So, you're a part of the family, like, you're a wife, so you support your spouse, which also means showing up for the kids. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what you signed up for.
Whether you like them or not, or whether they like you or not.
Yeah, you're there. You're a support. Right. But you do have to guard your heart so that you aren't letting there was a great quote that, gosh, I wish I could remember it. I'll post it later. But basically, like, don't let your emotions overrun your intelligence or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, basically you lose your intelligence because you let your emotions lead.
Right.
And so, like, a reasonable, intelligent person knows what a step parenting role is, but that sways if we're feeling like great, we'll do more. If we're feeling unappreciated, we want to back off.
Right.
And it's just like, you need to be a consistent stay in their lives. Like,
Well,
also.
And at the end of the day, that being consistent and kind of playing your role, regardless of what it is, is going to help their relationship. It may have not worked up to this point, but it might start working when they realize, like,
Yep.
I'm backing off of stepmom or stepdad,
Yeah.
but they're still there for me. They still show up. They still love me. And
Yeah.
maybe kids don't know that they're testing, but kids are testing. They've been hurt.
Yep.
They've been wounded. They've been ripped away from their other family, or their whole family. And they're just in a weird place,
Yeah.
no matter, they might be the 6-year-old we're talking about. It might be a 16 or a 26-year-old we're talking about. At the end of the day, like, these kids are dealing, how we feel as adults, like everything is just caving in on you. Well, remember back when we were little kids, we depended on our parents. Our parents were the be all end all. We looked up to them. Our parents did walk on water. We did nothing without our parents. They were everything that we looked up to. I mean, most of us. So when that stuff starts to fall apart, and our parents aren't holding it together and something's up with them, as a child, most likely you probably feel like everything's out of control. Nothing's right, So I personally haven't had to deal with this, but I can only imagine. I mean, I know how it is to go through trauma type stuff as an adult. I can't imagine what it's like to go through as a child.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And also a great perspective that allows step parents to extend grace.
Right.
Because I think that's a big part of step parenting successfully too, for your own peace of mind and for the well-being of the children, is just to have that grace that they're going through stuff that they may not even be able to fully understand or express, and they don't know what to do with it. You're an easy target because you're not mom or dad. And that's a hard place to be in. Also, I had step parents since I was 1 year old, and I had a really hard time with both step parents.
Right.
But I will say, having said that, when I became a step parent, I had a whole new appreciation for them as step parents.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing too. You might not ever see this reward. God willing, your kids won't get divorced and won't be step parents. They'll just have whole families and that'll be beautiful and work out. But sometimes people really can't show their can't really truly appreciate life until they've walked in your shoes or been in that situation.
Until they can empathize.
Empathize.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though I never really had great relationships with my step parents, man, I had an appreciation for what they went through on so many different levels. Being the evil step parent, having to watch your spouse co-parent and the hell that can be, being a silent partner in your marriage and in your home, but having to care for a child that's not yours. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, it didn't excuse some bad behavior, but I understood what a difficult spot that was for both of them.
Well, it was even worse though, because your parents didn't, and probably still to this day, don't get along. You know what I mean? Both parties. So
Yeah.
it was
very, very hard.
Yeah.
So, but I have an appreciation for it now. And so you may never, I hope my kids I hope none of our kids have
Right.
to be step parents, that they find their person, stay married, because that's
why we're all here.
goal.
That's literally why we're here talking about it. That's why you guys are here listening to it, because we care. We literally, every single one of us in one way or another.
I'm going to get you a Care Bear.
A Care Bear. Are those
Can you dress up like a Care Bear
those
one
still a
episode?
thing? I
Please?
know.
Annabelle has a Care
I
Bear.
wore a unicorn onesie thingy, didn't I? When Annabelle was on the show with us. It was like a fun day.
Did you?
Yeah. We
A
were wearing-
onesie? You've
like
never worn a unicorn onesie.
wanna
I
bet?
have a unicorn
You wanna
onesie.
Bet. Want to bet.
No.
Who wants to bet? If you guys saw it, leave a like in the comments.
I know you have a unicorn t-shirt.
We wear a unicorn onesie.
Did you?
Yep.
Was it mine?
Probably.
All right. So next thing we're going to talk about, and maybe our final topic, I'm not sure yet.
Depends on how long our host wants to go with it.
Okay, so this one's about calling stepmom mom or mama.
Mhm.
So I'm going to read little snippets here. So I'm a stepmom. I've been in my stepdaughter's life for 5 years, married for 4. we've had various problems throughout the years, but usually have a pretty good relationship with bio mom and stepdad. Over the years, my stepdaughter has called me mom, and I always tried to redirect it with, well, I'm not your mom, and I feel like she may not like sharing that title. Let's try to think of a different fun mom name for me. It's happened many times. When I've talked to my husband about it, he said it would upset him if she called stepdad dad, so I thought I was doing the right thing. So once my stepdaughter said, I talked to mama, and she said I can call you whatever I feel comfortable with. Stepdaughter has been known to not always be truthful with those conversations in the past, so I brushed it off. Recently, she started calling her stepdad dad, but then corrects herself and calls him by his name. When we're with the bio mom, she always now refers to him as dad as well. And when I've asked my stepdaughter, she says, Mama refers to him as dad to me because it gets confusing for their children if that they have together. Her mom is incredibly manipulative. God, I feel like everyone, like this is like the manipulative word is just thrown like
it's the new toxic.
Okay.
It's the new, there's all kinds of fun
not
words.
dismissing this, but it's just like it's just funny, like every email we get, someone's manipulative.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. Stop being manipulative, everyone. And always has even promoted us being, okay, whatever. I'm moving on. I feel like bio mom is pushing for stepdaughter to call stepdad dad. On one side, I think it's wrong. On the other side, it makes me want to talk to my stepdaughter to introduce myself back in as being called mom, because if it's okay now on her mom's terms, I would like to have that name. Anyway, what do you think?
You and I are a little bit different on this topic. No. At the end of the day, I'm going to use one of your words. I don't really give a shit.
Why do you not beep yourself? That's what I don't understand.
I didn't drop the F-bomb. That's your F-bomb button. But
we can say shit, not fuck.
Oh, come on. There it goes.
I'm just asking the rules.
You say whatever you want, like it's been proven.
Okay.
No, their names, I don't think that it's right. I don't think that it's right to force this, if she's calling the kid, telling the kid that she needs to call her mom, he's telling stepdaughter that she needs to call him dad. I don't agree with that.
Like if titles are forced upon kids, you think that's wrong?
I don't think that's right, personally. Okay.
But if kids want to call stepmom mom and kids want to call stepdad dad, you think that's fine?
And the reason behind it, because I know a lot of people right now are like, God, it's not all right. It's not okay. And you're probably one of them. Like, you don't love that, right?
I'm getting all... I'm ready.
I know. At the end of the day, it's a good thing. Your kids are comfortable. Your kids are comfortable in their environment. They are most likely being loved by stepmom or stepdad, who they're now calling mom or dad. They feel, it's a good title to have. Like it's normally a title of love and care, and it comes from a good place. So if either of my kids are at the other house and they're calling their stepfather, they're calling him dad. I mean, at the end of the day, I know my role. I know who I am. I'm very secure with being these kids' dad. But if they're over there and they're comfortable enough and loved enough that they're calling him dad as well while they're there, that means they just respect the role.
Everyone gets a trophy.
Everyone gets a trophy.
Yep, and that's the mentality that's ruining our kids.
That's not at all the mentality I'm going for. But I'm like, this is where the kids are. Like, they are healthy. They're confident. They're feeling loved. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot worse names that they could be calling us. You know a few of them.
I totally hear you, and I totally agree with that perspective.
But... I hear what you're saying.
I hear what you're
no.
saying. No, I think that it's really individual. I Like, I don't think it's, if I heard a kid calling their stepmom mom, am I going to sit there in judgment and be like, gosh, that's wrong? No. But I think that it's hard when you have,
as long as it's not your
as long
kids.
as it's not my kids. That's right. I think that it speaks a lot to, I think somebody's comfortability with it is if your children have step parents worthy of that title and you felt that was, because if you don't, like, to me, the title of mom is super special.
But dad's not. Screw that title. Throw
No,
that to the
I think
curb.
dad is. I think dad is special too. I don't. We've had this conversation on this podcast before. Stop laughing at me.
Well, I'm just thinking how special mom is. Keep going.
That's fine. I think it's a sacred title. That's my opinion. Not everyone shares that opinion.
I agree. Yep.
So if I were dead,
Where are we going with this?
I'm just saying, like, if I didn't exist and my children needed a woman to fill the mom role and was like having that yearning to be like mama, mom, mommy, mama.
Stop, Stewie.
Then
What
I
do you
would
want? Hi.
I would understand that. But I think that if a mom is present and she wants to just be the only mom because she's the only mom, that's like, it's just a fact. Sorry.
It's only child syndrome.
It's just a fact.
It is.
Like,
but
I'm also like, you can't get mad at facts.
no, you can't.
Like,
but,
if
but if your
are you gonna
kids,
get mad if I say your shirt is white
I mean, it depends on where we are. No, you know what? But here's
and your headphones are black? Like, this is a fact. I'm not making shit up. So for people to be offended that a mom wants to be
I get
the
it.
mom,
I hear
like,
you.
is like, okay.
I hear you. I hear you 100%. But
But
also,
yes, I know it's all kumbaya, rainbows and mushrooms
no.
smoking over in your world.
okay. No, I don't care enough. I'm secure enough with who I
Your
am.
opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Yes. And that's fine.
Where
Everyone
would you say
gets a trophy.
on
All parents get trophies.
on a scale from 0 to
Are you
1?
one of those matching jersey types
on
too?
a scale from 0 to 1,
all four parents
what
are
is
wearing.
what's your insecurity level with the mom thing? One from 0 to 1. Where's your security
Listen,
level?
I feel like I have to fight to be the mom in my kids' lives.
So we're going like a -3. I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if co-parenting was great and there was good relationships and you really respected the other party, and I think it might be different because I'm not a heartless bitch. I'm not. Well,
I didn't call you that.
but you know what I mean. Like
Right.
I think I'm a kind person.
Yeah.
However, like I also am not going to ignore a struggle when there's a struggle and ignore hardship where there's hardship. And so it's very off-putting to me if my kids wanted to start giving titles out to people that are
right.
I have no word. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just saying that I think it just is very situational, and I think that there's no right or wrong answer.
Agreed. I totally
think that
agree
it's
with you.
very personal, and I'm just explaining that some people who have a hard time with this, it's probably for a reason.
well,
if you're
that's-
having to fight to be your kid's parent because the other parents wish you would die,
and just don't acknowledge it. And just when you're at the other house, they're not.
well, like if you have kids and you feel like the other side is trying to turn them against you, if you have kids and you feel like the other side despises you and wishes you would just die already and they could have the kids all to themselves and you wouldn't exist, then is that a safe thing to share the mom title? Is that a safe place to do that?
I'm
in?
totally with you on this.
So
and
that's where
we have completely split the audience on this, and I agree. Like, I agree. Like, there is not, like, my approach to it.
Yeah.
Because then when it comes to sports, I'm like, no, every kid does not get a trophy. There are winners and there are winners and losers. No, but at the end of the day, I'm really I'm concerned about the kids. If the kids are comfortable enough and happy enough, at the end of the day, as parents, we're probably doing our job correctly.
Yeah.
There's probably not much insecurity there. The co-parenting probably is fine. There probably is.
If you're comfortable with everyone, I could see how you could get to be like,
We just don't
does
care.
it matter?
That's
Not
it.
really. We're all good. Everything's good. But when everything's not good,
No, I get that
and
too.
and especially
You're
like,
I don't want that.
am I gonna let my daughter call my neighbor mom? Is that cool?
No, but she calls them. Just kidding.
But you know
I was
what I'm
gonna make
saying?
daddy jokes,
Like
but-
it is a title, like
Right.
it is a special title, and it is a title that's reserved for
Special people.
yeah.
No, but you know what? At the end of
You
the
know
day,
what? What if
okay,
kids
you,
just
host,
called?
you go. There,
Okay,
there's your
thank you.
camera. There
Well,
you go.
because I think about your sister, Heather. I'm calling Heather out. She calls your mom
by
by her first name.
right.
So maybe kids just call everyone. Would that be cool also?
No, that bugs me too.
That bugs you, but they can call everyone.
No, because
That's
I'm like
interesting.
because I feel like my mom deserves the title of mom. Like she's worked hard for it. She is a very good, very present,
So it is
very
a
caring
special title in
mother. But that was my point. That if the kids are secure enough and confident enough, and everything's going good, like yeah, our kids should be able to call them whatever. And I mean, it just to me when my sister calls my mom by her first name, it's like
It's kind of funny.
it is, but it's also like I don't care enough that I don't make it an issue because I truly just don't care enough. But I'm also like, what's that look for? I don't. Do you hear me yell at her? Do I care? Like, do I really care? Like, no, you're the one that brought it up on podcast.
It's funny.
Yeah. But I'm like, it's
Well, I was just thinking in reverse. Like, what would be? I was thinking of what the opposite of everyone being called mom would be like. Both mom and stepmom just being called their names.
their actual names. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I
you're.
don't know. At the end of the day, these are all just names. I'm like, I've been called way worse. You've been called way worse.
So we're just lowering the bar.
Yeah, let's just. I mean, everyone
Call
else.
me whatever
We're
you
lowering
want.
Everyone else is lowering the bar everywhere else in life. I'm like, let's just get rid of names. Let's just go to like grunts or noises.
You'd be
or
like Prince, and you're just a sign.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about.
You just
We
have
don't
a
even.
drawing.
Yeah, because we open our mouths now, and now like we just like if I call you something and it's not the right thing, I'm just offending you. So if it's just a sign,
You're just an asshole.
like yeah, it's like
oh, whoa! Do we have like a black box for that?
see, is that even politically correct these days? You're offending me now.
Read between the lines.
Anyway, we've gotten so off topic. At the end of the day, do what's comfortable. Like do what works for your family. And I get it. Like you have
Well, I
all the
think
right in the world.
Yeah.
I've been trying to say this a long time. You keep cutting me off, host. I'll call you Coast for like it's like a split of words here. Coast. That's your new name. You're like the coach host, the Coast. Anyways, at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter what we call, if it doesn't work for you and you don't want your kids calling the other person that, like fine. Like there's a reason you feel that way. It's not right. It doesn't work for you. If it does work for you, great. Like just because I feel one way in my situation or you feel one way about your situation doesn't mean that everyone has to take it and be like, that's the right way they said, or if it feels right to you, do it. If it doesn't, you have every right to not be okay with it. I just walked that back.
You walked it really far back.
Thanks.
But I think it's really cool that she was erring on the side of caution and taking people into consideration. And even though she might have really wanted that.
But now she's walking it back. She's like, you know what? Screw this. I want that title back now.
Yeah,
Give
because
me
it is true. Like when it can be good for one person and not good for all people.
No, but that's not the
know?
rules people play by these days. It's not.
Right. So like I couldn't be like my kids calling you dad,
Right.
but not allowing them to call. I would have stepmom, mom.
Right.
Like that wouldn't be okay.
No,
Like,
but that's what
that's
people
not-
expect these days. That
Yeah.
is the culture that we live in now, where it's like, well, it's okay if it's going my way, but it's not okay if it's going the way that I don't want it to be. And
Yeah.
that's ultimately what I'm saying here. It's like what works for you, what's comfortable for you, do it. But like you're saying, make it fair. If it's
not
not
fair.
okay.
We just got done saying nothing's fair, and now we're saying make it fair.
No, but
in this situation,
you hear what I'm saying.
No,
though.
I
You hear
agree
what I'm
with you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like do what works for you. But at the end of the day, like look at all sides. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
And try
I'm
to be
exhausted.
understanding. I think you brought that up earlier about like if somebody's not okay with it, they probably have a reason why.
Right.
Instead of just being like they're a prick, be like, I wonder why they feel that way. Get curious, right? I think we all ask questions. I think we all jump to conclusions, and I think we all are really judgmental of each other, even in co-parenting. Your co-parenting would do much better if you just gave people the benefit of the doubt and asked a question instead of attacking and making
assuming,
accusations
yes.
coming at people like they're out to get you. It's kind of funny because I'm like, it's not all about anyone.
No.
We're all busy with our own lives. Like, are we really like spending our days thinking about?
No, like for instance, like I don't think about my ex whatsoever unless it's co-parenting situation. I'm like, I go weeks and like forget about like, oh damn, I got to co-parent. I got to talk about a situation. I haven't thought about my ex for so long or that situation, like my day to day. Just my routine, the stuff I do doesn't involve it so far removed that I'm like, dang it. Sometimes it's almost a struggle like, ooh, I do have to talk about this or I have to
make an effort.
I have to make
connect.
an effort. That's it. So, and it's the same way on the other side though, I'm assuming, I'm hoping that it's like, they're not thinking about me until
they have to, something comes up and then they're like, oh gosh,
that's it.
I got to talk about it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Get curious. Stop being judgmental.
Yeah, we don't matter. We're not that important.
Yeah.
I'm not that important. Anyways.
That's it.
All right. If you guys like this, like, subscribe, leave a real shitty comment below.
No,
I'll
please
argue with
don't.
You. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, it's the
if you don't like it, move on.
Yeah, if you don't like us, but if you do, so many of you do, and we're having a good time hearing these wonderful comments. We've had so many fun ones lately of people that are finding encouragement out of this. They are finding light at the end of the tunnel. We're helping open conversation, and this helps us have conversation too. Yes, we work out some differences and indifferences or never work them out, but at the end of the day, we're communicating, and that's what's so important. So if you're listening to this, it's making you think, don't stop there. Communicate. Talk with your spouse, talk with your children.
Use this podcast as an excuse to have important conversation. Let it blame us for having to bring up stuff.
Blame us for everything. Everyone else does. You guys do it. Just blame us.
And also, I'm going to talk about coaching.
Okay.
Because, if you guys are stuck in your blended family life or your step-parenting life, or even as a bio-parent, you feel between a rock and a hard place. I can help you get unstuck from that spot. I can help you. I can't control what other people do. So if you're looking for me to control your ex or your stepkids, I don't have that superpower.
Well, what I marry you for, then I'm out.
I would be rich and not here.
Right.
But I can help you get unstuck, and I can help you show up for your spouse, your stepkids, your co-parent, your own kids in a way like that you haven't done before. And the thing is that when you change, everything around you changes. And that's the real power you have. So I am certified as a life coach and a health coach. And so if you guys want a free session with me, I call it a breakthrough session. You can email me at becomingheardnow@gmail.com. And I will say it again, becomingheardnow@gmail.com. And write in, and I can send you a link to schedule time, and we can have an hour session over the phone and just discuss if coaching's right for you, what coaching is, where are you stuck, and all that good stuff. So reach out. I feel like I can be of help, so I always am going to put that out there now, just because you don't have to live stuck, and you can You can show up differently. You can gain new skills and new habits that have you doing things differently. Because if what you were doing was going to work, it would have worked already, you know?
That's it.
So anyway, there's that little plug for myself. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Oh, wait. Thank you. So smash that like button, subscribe, ring the bell, and we will see you guys next time with
Smash
Blended
that
Life.
send button on an email.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.